Now we're going to find the x and the y intercepts, the minimum or maximum, and the domain in the range of this quadratic equation. The first thing we want to do is to, well, let's just go in order of the question. X and y intercept, okay? Let's do that first. So let's start out with the x intercepts. And there are two because it's a parabola. Okay, so let's find it. So the first thing we would do is factor it, but we look at this and we see that it's not factorable. At least, I don't think it is. No, it's not factorable. Okay, so we can't do that. So we're going to have to either complete the square or use the quadratic formula. I'm going to use the quadratic formula because I completed the square in the last video. So please pause the video and try it on your own. I put the quadratic equation on here, and I also want to, I also want to remind you that the a, b, and c are the coefficients of the three terms. So you just put it in and solve it. It's pretty straightforward, I think, but try it. Do the best you can. Okay, that's what the setup should look like, and always start inside the radical first, the radical being the square root. Those names are interchangeable. So -6 plus or minus, and we're going to work within that first. And here's what you get when you simplify it a little bit more. And we get the square root of 76 over 4. Now, if you don't do this in the test, I'm not going to mark it wrong, because we didn't practice it too much in class. I showed you, but I didn't have you practice, so I think it would be unfair for me to expect you to be really, proficient at solving this. So 76 is 4 times 14. 76 is 4 times 14. 4 does have a square root, so I'm going to take the square root of that 4, and I'm going to move it out of the radical sign. So the square root of 4 is 2. So we've got 2, the square root of 14 over 4, and we can simplify this more. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Okay, so we've got, sorry, I'm going to have to work upwards, and I told you never to do this, but -1 plus or minus the square root of 14. Okay, you can leave it in this form. Actually, I would prefer if you did. So we've got -1 plus the square root of 14, -1 minus the square root of 14, or you can just write it like this for the x-intercepts. Now the y-intercept, nice thing there is this your constant. Because you put 0 in for x, you get 0 here, you get 0 here. So the y-intercept is equal to 0. Oh, sorry. One moment. That was right. 0, -5. Okay, the domain. The domain, what we're going to have is we're going to have a parabola. Because our leading coefficient, 2x squared, is just a 2, it's a positive. Our parabola is going to look like that. So we are going to have a maximum. Sorry, we are going to have a minimum. So, and then it's going to go on forever above it. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where a vertex is. The y value of the vertex, let me draw it again, the very middlemost, bottommost point, that's what's going to define our range. So let's find it. And we're going to do that by finding our vertex. So let's first find the axis of symmetry. And we're going to do that by x is equal to -b over 2a, so -6 over 2 times 2, and we get a fraction. We get -6 over 4, which is equal to -3/2. Okay, and now we're going to find our y value by plugging it into our equation. So we're going to go to 2 -3/2 squared plus 6 times -3/2 minus 5. And we're going to wind up finding the y value of a vertex, and that's what our minimum is going to be. So we've got 9/2 times 2, and those just cancel. So we just have 9 plus, this is nice, we can cancel that 6. And we've got a 3 here. Well, it's not really nice, but it makes it easier. So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 minus 5. 9, so we've got 9 minus 9 minus 5. Sorry, this is getting a little messy, but we're almost there, is equal to negative 5. So we just found our minimum, and I'm going to try to make some room at this point. Okay, here's a rough sketch of the parabola here. But negative 3 halves negative 5 is a minimum, negative 5. So you would just say minimum is equal to, well, y is equal to negative 5. Or you can just write it as an ordered pair. And now the domain and range. Okay, so the domain for all parabolas that are not inverted is all real numbers. Easy. Free point in the test. The range is equal to our minimum, negative 5, and we're going through infinity. So you say y is greater than and equal to negative 5, and we are finished.